Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. Today we're back on PTCGO and we're showing off Crobat Wobbuffet in a way that we haven't seen it before. A few players in New Jersey have been top cutting with this over a few weeks of cities, the last couple of weeks as it finishes off. And it looks like people have found a great way of playing Wobbuffet Crobat at last. People are trying to find out the best way to play this deck, and a few people have had semi-decent results with it, so I thought I'd show it off in all of its glory now that some people have switched it up a little bit and played some new cards in it. So as you can see, we're still playing the Wobbuffet line. We're playing 4 of these. Bide Barricade on its own can shut down a few things like Fairy Box and can make it difficult for Bronzong to get its energy on the board. That's really awesome. Also, it can get some people tricked as well. Some people trying to play Jirachis on me. That's always hilarious because we have Wobbuffet. Also, his attack isn't half bad either. It used to be the front man of the deck. Now he still sort of is, but in a different... He does take a bit more of a backseat approach, but he's obviously still good at swinging when we have something in front of us with a lot of damage. And that's because Psychic Assault does 10 plus 10 more for each damage counter on your opponent's active. In the past, people essentially used this thick Crobat line that we have to rack up damage on your opponent's active by using Surprise Bite from Crobat, which puts 30 on when you evolve, and the Golbat 20 on when you evolve, or 2 counters I should say. We use these all the time to stack up Wobbuffet's attacks. We still do that in this deck, but now it's not the only option that we have. The deck was pretty simple, and it was basically how many times you can get these out to start spamming Wobbuffet's attack. Now we have other means of putting damage on the board for Wobbuffet to start doing big damage. And that is Gengar. Gengar EX we're playing 2 of in here, and he does a whole bunch of things in this deck. He has resistance to fighting, which is hilarious, because he's another good thing for Donphan. Him and Crobat means that this deck has a ridiculously easy time against Donphan. Also, we have the hit and switch tactic with Dark Corridor. We're doing 60 for 2 Psychic Energy and the Dimension Valley, so it can be pulled off fairly quickly in the game. 60 in Poison and move to the bench. We can bring up one of these Wobbuffets to keep the ability lock going. Also, we'd rather protect our Gengar on the bench and stuff like that. Poison could be really annoying, and with a Muscle Band we're doing 92 EXs, other than Virizion Genesect that obviously stops Poison. But in those sorts of scenarios, that's when Crobats and Golbats come in handy for putting on those extra counters to help us two-shot those guys. Also, we have the turn 1 attack that we can use for free with a Dimension Valley, or just for 1 energy attachment because we're trying to set up a corridor anyway. We can do Night Attack, putting 3 counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Again, this can help set up Wobbuffet in the later turns. Also, it can work really nicely on low HP basics. If you have a Golbat to drop, you can hit 50, so that's pretty nice. And if you have multiple, obviously that can rack up how you like it to. So you can really put a lot of damage on the board, a lot quicker than traditional Crobat Wobbuffet decks, and I really like this aspect. Also, we're playing 1 Mewtwo EX. We may as well. We've got Dimension Valley, so we can X-Ball for 1 Psychic. This can wipe off things that just get too big in our face. Too many energies on something like a Yveltal. Mewtwo can come down and do a big X-Ball for a whole bunch of damage, which is really nice. Also, we have Psy Drive for 2 Psychics. We're doing 120. That doesn't seem like much, but then we throw a Muscle Band on it and put a Crobat down, and we've just gone and hit 170, wiping EXs off the board for just 2 energy. So Mewtwo, still a really good card in this deck, and you have the new tools around him to help him out a lot. The build also has changed a little bit. The old sort of turbo version with just these guys as attackers had a few more trainers and a lot less energy. Here we're playing 10 energy, we're playing 4 of the mystery energy so that we can retreat out of Wobbuffets when we've used Gengar. Obviously we have 2 switches as well to do the very same thing. Switches gives us extra support against lasers and stuff like that as well. But the 4 mystery energy is the main way we're going to be attaching to Wobbuffet to either attack with or so that we can retreat out of the active position so that we can keep using Gengar. Obviously it still counts as a Psychic Energy. And then we've got 6 basic Psychics for all of our attacks. I think 10's definitely enough in the deck. A lot of the time we're just going to be 1-dropping onto Wobbuffets. We obviously do still have Gengar as well. Onto trainers, we have Computer Search, just helps you find anything you need in the deck. This wasn't a difficult decision. Comp Search is one of the best cards in the game right now, especially because VS Seeker sort of makes Dowsing Machine a lot less useful compared to Comp Search. So then we have the one bicycle, the two switches like I say. 4 Ultra Balls really necessary because we need to find these bats as quickly as possible, and obviously it's useful for everything else. Then we have the 3 VS Seeker. VS Seeker is one of the strongest cards to come out of Phantom Forces, and it seems to be a 2 or 3 of in every deck these days. We have 1 AZ, and this guy's a pretty cool guy. You can reset a Crobat, pick them all back up, and then start dropping them back down onto other ones you have on your field already. So you could potentially, you've got a Crobat down, you can pick him up with an AZ, drop a Golbat on a Zubat that you already have, and drop your Crobat that you've just picked up onto a Golbat that you already have, and then drop your Zubat down as well, so that you can do it again. AZ is really good. Obviously as well, he can heal off a Gengar or Mewtwo if you're in a sticky situation. It's not the best idea because you do have to get rid of all your energy, but in a clutch spot, AZ can be really useful. Then we have 2 Colrus. We're always going to be having a full bench most of the time with Zubats, Wobbuffets and stuff, and with VS Seeker, Colrus can become your strongest supporter that you can respam over and over again. The reason why I don't play more, he's kind of dead in the early game, and I don't really like that. We have 2 Lysander, just works nicely with Wobbuffet. If we've done damage to something, we can capture it up and then use a Psychic Assault for knockouts. Also with Crobat, we can take knockouts on things that maybe your opponent isn't expecting to die. All of these things can be good. Also, because we're doing the hit and switch tactic, poisoning things as well, it can be pretty disruptive if we capture up something to stall. Obviously, we still need these for Donphan, even though we have a really good Donphan matchup. Because of Crobat, they just really can't deal with 130 HP, resistance to fighting, and the fact that we snipe. It just spells trouble for Donphan players. But Lysander's another thing that can help us out in that matchup. We have 4 N and 4 Juniper, strongest supporters in the game really. We use them as draw supporters almost the whole time as well. The deck doesn't have too much draw support in the early game. 4 N, 4 Juniper, 2 Colrus is more of a mid-game supporter, so it's not 100% consistent. I'm not really sold on the support account, but at the moment we don't have much better. I mean, Shauna could be thrown into the deck. I don't really like Shauna at the moment. Potentially when Teammates comes out and when Birch's Observations comes out, these could be 1 or 2 obs that we could throw into this deck and be very strong to help our consistency, and that's something I'm going to look forward to when Primal Clash comes out. Regardless, that's how the supporters look for now. We have 4 Dimension Valley for the reduction of a colourless. That's obvious in this deck. It means that we can attack for much cheaper. We have 3 Muscle Bands. It means that Gengar can 2-shot stuff. Wobbuffet can do big Psychic Assaults for not much damage. Obviously good on Mewtwo as well. It means we can get these one-hit knockouts with Crobat dropped down on that turn. And Muscle Band's just really useful. And like I say, the 10 energy there as well. So let's go find ourselves a game with this deck. I really like how it's a lot more versatile now, using these Gengars and Mewtwo's for extra attackers for Wobbuffet. It means the focus isn't just on Crobat. There's not as much pressure to get these lines of the bats out every turn. So we found ourselves a game against Poker Power 22. We're going to flip some coins, go for heads, and we get it wrong. So it looks like he's going to choose to go first, and we start with Wobbuffet and Zubat. Good start from us. We have a Juniper as well in hand. This looks pretty promising, and we'll see what we can do here. We're up against Seismitoad EX, the big bad toad. Everyone's favourite card to play against. He gets a DCE on board straight away and a Muscle Band, and he goes for the N as well. Fantastic start from our opponent. And we've got some Gengars, not much else though. We could comp search for probably a Juniper. That's what I'll go for, I imagine. And we draw into Mewtwo. That could be a helpful card in this game. We've not really seen enough of his deck to know if it's Slurpuff, Garbodor, could even be a Pyroar deck that just plays Seismitoad. We never know really. We see the Toad in a lot of different decks. So we're going to comp search away these cards and then just go for a Juniper here. It's important to get your attachments in early against the Seismitoad and stuff like that. Hopefully find some Zubats as well. We're going to get rid of N and switch, and then we'll VS Seeker this turn so that we can definitely use a supporter next turn even if we are locked out of trainers. So we're going to attach to Zubat, not attach the Zubat, bench a Zubat, and we're going to have to attach to the Wobbuffet here because there's no guarantee that we're going to get Dimension Valley, and obviously we can't switch out of there, so I'd rather that we get some of these bats out and then swing with Wobbuffet than just do nothing while we charge up a Gengar. So we'll end our turn there and see if our opponent will reveal anything else about his deck. Okay, so he's actually playing it in metals. This should be a very interesting game. We see a Bronzor come down and a Dialga, and he catches up a Zubat for the knockout. Very interesting. Scared of those bats early on, and he uses the Seismitoad just to stall for a few turns to set up his Bronzongs. That seems like a logical thing to do. I'm going to put another energy on Wobbuffet. It's not ideal, but we have to do it instead of just hunting for a Dimension Valley. And there we go, we miss it. So playing the safe plays can pay off. And we're just going to go for a Golbat on the active. This could be a potentially tricky matchup. Obviously getting trainer locked early on is tricky, and then late game these metal types have resistance on us. So we're going to have to do a whole lot of damage to these guys. Hopefully that's where the Crobat and Golbat come into play. Sort of fix the math out for us. We see an Ultra Ball from the opponent. He goes straight for a Bronzong. He can't use Metal Links just yet because of Wobbuffet. We see a VS Seeker for an N. An attachment to the Dialga, and just 50 from the Seismitoad EX. We find Dimension Valley. I may as well throw it down. I'm going to put a Mystery onto Gengar. We can't put that Muscle Band into play just yet. Throwing away all of these supporters with the Juniper is horrible, so we're going to have to end here. We do find ourselves a Zubat, which is nice, and a Crobat, which is even nicer. So we can put 80, or put the Seismitoad up to 80, and hit it for a further 90, leaving it with 10 left. So if we can find a Golbat next turn, we can knock it out and then start thinking about other things that we can attack with. And unless our opponent plays lasers, it looks like Wobbuffet should survive this turn, unless he wants to stop Quaking Punching and go for a attack with Dialga. We see another Bronzor come down, I should say, and a Computer Search away of Jirachi and Heatran. Good plays from our opponent. He's aware of Jirachi not being useful, because a lot of people fall into that trap of using it against Wobbuffet and forgetting that the ability is locked down. For some reason, it's just a card that people seem to forget about. When they see him attacking, that they only consider the fact that his attack is the thing that's important and forget that he has Bide Barricade. I myself have fallen into that trap as well. When I originally built this deck, I did have Jirachi in here, so that was kind of interesting. We see a DC attachment to the Dialga and a Muscle Band as well, and an N from the opponent, refreshing our hand, which I'm fairly okay with, but it looks like not into anything much better. We see an Aegislash come down as well. That could be irritating, and we got to play around that now. I'm going to continue to attach to Gengar, I think. And we could Juniper here, but I want to hold the hand for later. So I'm going to free retreat with our Mystery Energy. And we can just go for Dark Corridor. And go into our other Wobbuffet. I'd rather keep this one around because it has energies that we can use for attacks. So let's sacrifice our other Wobbuffet and take 2 prizes, get a big old hand up, and see if our opponent wants to end us or not. If he doesn't, we've got a good few things to play with here. We see an attachment onto the active, and it looks like Dialga's going to fire off a big old 170 attack, full metal impact. We see a VS Seeker for an N, so he does want to stop us from having such a dominating hand. We do draw into a Chorus, which is nice. We'll be able to get, what, 7 off that? I'll go into Crobat for now. And once now we're not being trainer locked at least, which is very nice. We can. I'm going to Ultra Ball away Dimension Valley and a Psychic Energy. We want to make sure that we still have Wobbuffets around, because obviously stopping this Bronzong is really useful, and stopping that Aegislash is very important as well. I'm going to put a Muscle Band onto Gengar and go for a Colress here. We find ourselves a Golbat, and that's going to help us tip the scales a bit so that we can actually two-shot this Dialga. We do find another Muscle Band. I'll hold it on hand for now. Let's freely retreat. I don't want to attach this Mystery because once again it could be bait for Aegislash. We've got to play around that these days. And we're going to go for a Dark Corridor just for 60 because of the resistance. And Poison will tip it over to 90 HP left. So if we can find, well, we have the Crobat in hand. If we can Crobat and then go for a Gengar next turn, we can knock this thing out. And it's going to be difficult for him to knock out a Wobbuffet this turn without Bronzor's acceleration. Or Bronzong's, I should say. He could, of course, Lysander, and then he has free roam on his abilities. We're going to see an Ultra Ball away of a DCE and a Metal. And he finds a Seismitoad EX, so he's resorting back to Trainer Lock, it looks like, unless he just wants to move it. He goes into the other, he brings up the other Wobbuffet, which is really interesting play. So it looks like he's just gonna manually retreat and just go for a Quaking Punch. Scared of the Wobbuffet's output, I imagine. So we've still got a decent hand, so I'm not concerned about that. He is ahead on prizes for now, but we're pretty okay with that. I can play down a Crobat here, and I still want to put it on Dialga because the math just works out so much nicer if we do that. So for now we can just go into Gengar and happily go for the two-shot on it. We're still holding that Mystery Energy, so we can retreat this Wobbuffet freely if we need to, if he wants to continue to Quaking Punch. And of course we need to keep this ability lock going for now. Our opponent's going to N us. That could be awkward if we don't find a Mystery Energy. But then again, we can just go for a Psychic Assault because we've drawn a normal energy, so that's okay. And our opponent can just hit us for 50. And we're looking in a very dominating spot at this point. Wobbuffet's Psychic Assault and the Bide Barricade has really been the thing that's going to help us win this game, I think. I'm going to Juniper just to thin out cards. And we can't use any of these trainers because of the Quaking Punch. So we'll just go for a big Psychic Assault for the knockout here. And again, we've got Wobbuffet in the right position so that these Bronzongs aren't affecting us. And we're just 2 prizes away now. And our opponent looks like he's got no energy on the field, and the Bronzongs can't help him until he uses Lysander. I'm very surprised that he used Lysander on the Wobbuffet last turn for a Quaking Punch. I don't feel like that helped him at all. And we're going to see a stalling play here, switch into the Heatran, who's just a 1 prize cost, and an N from our opponent, Nning us out of our Lysander. We'll see if we can get back into it, that would be amazing. We have a Bike and a Muscle Band, so that's pretty cool. We have a Mystery Energy that we can play down as well. We can attach this to Wobbuffet just so that we can move it if we need to. I'm going to attach a Muscle Band to Mewtwo, may as well. We'll go for this Bike, hoping for the Lysander here. We get a VS Seeker, I don't think we've got one in the discard. So we could just contently sit for now. But that might not be the best option either. Could go for a Juniper, brings us down to 3. Yeah, let's do that. We'll Muscle Band, go for a Juniper here. So we'll have 3 left in deck. And basically we're just thinning out the cards that aren't Lysander so that if he wants to end us again, we can still deal with it. We're going to put... There's no point in putting it on Heatran because Lysander's definitely the play we want to do here. Let's put it on Aegislash. I don't think that Golbat's going to be too important, that drop. But just in case he wants to keep switching into other stuff, let's put it on there for now. We can freely retreat thanks to the Mystery Energy. And we're going to go for Dark Corridor here, just for the sake of it really. I might not even want to kill this Heatran, it seems to be stuck up here pretty nicely right now. But basically we're sat with the Lysander for game. That's what we're looking for. And he's got to continue to end us to have any hope of this game. He goes for a Sycamore here. Getting rid of a couple of Sycamores and a Bronzor. He's had not the best luck in terms of hands. He benches another Heatran. I don't think that's helpful. He attaches to it. And he's just going to pass. So we do have the game here. We can Lysander. And there it is. Our opponent couldn't end us any more than he already had done. Psychic Assault, 130 even with resistance, and we take down a pretty nice metal deck with Seismitoad to try and lock us down. Another deck that's been fairly popular in the later end of City Championships in America. So we get a mystery card, I can't see it. Oh well, it's probably an energy in all honesty. So that's the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Good game as well from a decent player. He made some good plays there. The only questionable play he made was when he Lysandered, he brought up another Wobbuffet. I feel like if he had brought up anything else, he could have got a couple of Bronzongs going. Get maybe that Aegislash running up. That could have caused us a bit of issues. Obviously, if we attack with Wobbuffets, though, his ability is locked down, so maybe he was hesitant in that regard. But either way, he could have charged up maybe a Dialga or something. But regardless, that's the game, and that's the deck, so I hope you enjoyed. Playtest it yourself, and I feel like this is going to be one of the decks that really improves from Primal Clash, because we do get Repeat Ball, which is going to make it a lot easier to get out these bat lines, and also we get Teammates, and for decks that predominantly use non-EXs to attack with, Teammates is a real friend to those sorts of decks. So I hope you enjoyed. I've been Joe from OmniPoke, and I will see you next time.